Hi, I'm Relly, 26 years old. I recently married the love of my life, though our wedding wasn't without its drama. Let me give you a quick rundown. I met David while interning at the same firm where I was finishing up my degree. We kept finding ourselves on the same projects, which led to us chatting more. Soon, we were meeting outside of work at cafes and movie theaters. After several dates, we officially became a couple. David was studying at a college out of state, but he was back in our hometown for an internship. I was thrilled he chose to intern here. It meant I got to be with an amazing guy. We shared so many interests, and our bond grew stronger over time. When it was time for David to return to college, we were both devastated. I remember the night before he left, holding him close and crying. David was in tears too. Neither of us wanted to say goodbye. I made him promise to keep in touch with me every day. David told me that he would. I asked him to make sure to take care of his health, and David asked the same for me. He promised me that he would try his best to make frequent trips back whenever he had enough free time. I promised to do the same. That's how we spent the rest of that night, just making promises to each other and holding each other in our arms. After David had left, we kept up with all our promises. Any time either of us had a long holiday or break, we would fly to each other. We called for hours every day and kept each other updated on everything that was happening to us. That is how we kept our relationship alive and thriving. When we hit the 1-year mark of dating, we introduced each other to our families. My family invited David with open arms. They loved how happy he made me, so they had no problem considering him a part of the family. David's family, however, was not so easy to please. David came from a rather conservative family. They weren't the biggest fans of their children dating, especially when they were busy pursuing their studies, but they reluctantly agreed to meet me. Initially, it was a little awkward, but eventually, David's father and his siblings warmed up to me. The only person who didn't was David's mother, Greta. Greta was cold from the start to the end of my weekend stay with them. She found every opportunity to make snide remarks against me. She made fun of my choice of schools and my interests. On my first night during dinner, Greta even went as far as to insult my family's social standing. I was obviously upset after Greta insulted my parents. While the rest of the table stared at Greta in shock, David stood up for me. "Mom, you're not allowed to talk to Riley so rudely." "Relax, I'm just stating facts." "Those facts are hurtful and untrue." "Well, maybe they have some weight since she didn't choose the better school." "Riley's choices are not yours to judge. You owe her an apology." "Oh, please. Fine, sorry." "Whatever, that's not sincere, Mom. Apologize properly." "Sorry, Riley." "Thank you." "Greta, treat Riley with respect or you won't be a part of our lives." Whatever. Dinner continued, but it was still very awkward. I was obviously hurt and upset at the way that David's mother was treating me. I mean, she didn't even know me. I knew that I didn't choose the more prestigious school, but that was only because I wanted to be closer to home. I loved my family and wanted to be there with them. My parents could more than afford to send me there, but I decided to stay and be with them. I loved that David stood up for me, especially against his own mother. I clearly saw that day how I would always be his number one, and that's what made me love him even more. When they were just about to leave David's place that evening, David's dad, Peter, apologized to me for his wife's behavior. "I'm truly sorry for Greta's behavior." "Riley, you're lovely, Peter, and you don't need to apologize to her." "Oh, Greta's just overprotective of David, you see." "I understand that feeling. Well, my family's like that too." "Does that mean they treated David the same way?" "Oh no, I'm sorry for the confusion. We're just protective of each other. The last thing they wanted was for one of us to get hurt, so they were very guarded when someone brought home a new partner. But the second they see how happy the partner makes the person, they become more welcoming." "So did your family welcome David warmly?" "Absolutely. They embraced him more than warmly, seeing how happy he made me. In the 1 year we've been together, I'm glad he found a place in your family. Your family is different, and that's okay. I'm pretty good at adjusting to new dynamics. Still, I'm sorry Greta hasn't been as welcoming. It's all right. I'm sure she'll come around with time. I have to say, I love your enthusiasm. Thank you. I believe she'll change her perspective eventually. I like your positivity. I truly hope Greta warms up to you. That interaction with Peter made me feel very welcome in David's family. I already sensed that being welcomed by Greta would take a while, but I knew that I'd wait as long as I needed to because David was worth it. However, David also made sure to remind me that the way his mother viewed me never reflected the way he viewed me. I was super grateful for David and was glad he had my back no matter what. As the years passed, the two of us graduated, and David moved back into our hometown. David and I moved in together, and we're really happy to finally be able to spend all our time together. Since we were no longer long-distance dating, we made sure to make good use of all the free time we had. We would frequently go on dates, and if we couldn't, we'd go on nice long walks in the evenings. We were inseparable, so it came as no surprise when, on one of our long evening walks, David got down on one knee and asked me to marry him. I was overjoyed and said yes through tears streaming down my face. Thus began the next few tiring months of wedding planning. People say that the months leading up to the wedding are the most stressful, and that's what puts a huge strain on the relationship. I did not see that in my relationship because, in fact, it was the stress that brought David and me even closer. The only obstacle there was, you guessed it, David's mother, Greta. Greta insisted on being part of every single thing. She needed to know about everything that was being planned, down to the color of the tablecloths. She would call me every day at 8:00 a.m., sharp to ask me what my plans were for the day. I would tell her the same thing I did every day, work. Greta would then ask me about the wedding plans, and I would remind her that while the wedding was an important event, I still needed to work to afford it. Greta would huff and tell me to step up and take my wedding seriously. Initially, that comment irritated me, but as I listened to it every day, I learned to just let it pass. I would simply say yes to Greta, and then she would make me promise that I would involve her in everything related to the wedding. I would roll my eyes and agree, but never actually involve her. At some point, I began to feel bad for not involving Greta, so I talked to David about it. Hi, I feel bad that I'm not involving Greta. I know her calls are annoying, but involving her might help my relationship with her, right? Honestly, I doubt it, my love. What do you mean? She has this need to control everything to the point of actually ruining the occasion. I see. Maybe if we let her in just a bit. I know how you feel. You could let her help you out in a small portion, maybe, but don't get your hopes up. I'll keep my fingers crossed that she'll appreciate the chance and treat me well. Just remember, I've got your back no matter what. Thanks, babe. Let's hope for the best. I decided to let Greta help me pick out the cake for the wedding. I explicitly told Greta that she only got to have options and that I was in no way obligated to listen to her opinions. Greta agreed and told me not to worry. When the day came to visit various vendors, Greta obviously didn't listen to my wishes. She made a huge fuss about everything, from the appearance of the stores to the prices. She purposely criticized everything that I liked and constantly tried to haggle with the vendors. I was beyond embarrassed by the way Greta behaved. I didn't say anything to her out of respect for the fact that she was going to be my mother-in-law. Although I didn't doubt that David would not have had an issue if I had said something to Greta, I ended up cutting the day short by lying to her that I had some urgent work to attend to and told her that we would meet up at a later time to figure out the cake details. I left before Greta could make a comment about me not taking the wedding seriously because I had had enough of her for the entire week. When David got back from work, he took one look at me and began laughing. Through his laughs, he managed to ask me how the day with Greta went. So, how was your day with Mom? Oh, you have no idea. She embarrassed me the entire time. Really? That's bad. Yeah, bad enough that I think we need new vendors now. I knew involving her was a risky move. I was just trying to make things better between us. My love, I'm going to say this again just to remind you that my mom's behavior doesn't define our relationship. I love you no matter what. Thanks, darling. Maybe I won't involve Greta anymore. Sounds like a plan. And so the rest of the months leading up to the wedding went on as they did before, with Greta continuing to ask me to involve her in the wedding. I never did involve her again and kept making excuses to get her off my back. Eventually, David stepped in. Mom, we want to plan our wedding ourselves without anyone else's input. How could you manage such an important day on your own? Well, I'm not the only one planning the wedding. Riley is involved too. She must be the one pushing you to exclude me. I'm telling you, she's not good for you. No, listen. I was the one who suggested not involving you. In fact, Riley was the one that asked me to give you a chance. You need to stop taking shots at her. You wanted to exclude me. How could you do this to your own mother? Mom, I didn't want to hurt you. We both wish you'd respect our decisions. You're pushing me away for her sake. No, I'm asking for your understanding. Riley and I want to plan our dream wedding together. We really don't need any help. Fine, but I've always wanted the best for you. We know, Mom, but we need your support, not your control. I just worry about you. David, we appreciate that, but please, for my sake, respect our wishes. After David's conversation with his mother, Greta stopped contacting us as much. I felt so relieved not to have to deal with her. David and I were able to fully focus on planning. Finally, the day of the wedding came, and I was a mess of nerves and excitement. I was happy to finally be married to the love of my life, and I desperately hoped that the wedding would go well. The ceremony went off smoothly, and David and I were legally wed. We were over the moon and couldn't wait to celebrate with drinks and dance with the guests. However, that didn't go off as smoothly as I had hoped. While the reception started off well, someone along the event, Greta, had one drink too many. She ended up getting really drunk and caused a massive scene by grabbing hold of me and loudly declaring that she would never accept me as part of her family. I screamed uncomfortably. As I tried to free myself from Greta's strong grip, David, on the other hand, was fuming. Mom, let go of Riley. Oh, David, I've always known what's best for you. She's not right for you. I've had enough of your behavior. Leave now. You won't throw your own mother out of your wedding. I'm dead serious. I won't tolerate any disrespect toward my wife. What's going on here? Dad, I want her to leave. She came over just to humiliate and insult Riley. I won't have her treat Riley this way. What is wrong with you? I am just being honest. Honesty doesn't give you the right to humiliate or insult us. I don't want to be associated with that. Greta, let go. Peter, you can't be serious. Enjoy the rest of your evening and congrats again. I was very upset by the scene Greta had caused, but what was more upsetting was how Peter could not enjoy the day with us. Still, the party carried on, and the day remained memorable for David and me. The two of us had prepared to go on our honeymoon to Italy a couple of weeks later. We were buzzing with excitement because visiting Italy was on both of our bucket lists. We wanted our honeymoon to be as romantic as possible, and we couldn't think of a better place. We waited impatiently for the day to travel. Finally, when the day arrived, David and I frantically made sure that we had all of our passports and luggage together. Right as we were about to leave our house for the airport, our doorbell rang. We looked at each other in confusion because we didn't know who would come to our place that early in the morning. As we opened the door, our eyes widened in shock to see Greta standing there with her bag packed and her passport in her hand. David looked at his mother in anger. "What are you doing here, Mom?" "What do you mean? Quit playing dumb, Greta." "Oh, just thought I'd join you on your holiday." This isn't a holiday and you know it. How did you even know about our honeymoon dates? You logged into your email on my laptop once and forgot to log out. When was this? College, maybe. Can't remember. You've been keeping tabs on him since college. You're insane. I'm not insane. A concerned mother looks out for her son. And why on earth would you want to come on our honeymoon? I won't rest until I show David you're not good enough. That's enough. Leave. I'm not leaving. Seeing her with anger, I held David's arm to calm him down. He then looked at me and smirked. What's your plan? If my mother wants to sabotage us, let's play her own game. I don't get it. What do you mean? Remember our cop costumes from last Halloween? Yeah, why? Where are they? They're in the box on top of the wardrobe. Perfect. He looked through the peephole and saw Greta still standing outside the door. He asked me to let his mother in. While I did that, David rushed into the bedroom. I stood awkwardly with Greta in the doorway. Greta smirked at me, thinking she had won. I heard David rummaging around with our stuff in the bedroom before finally emerging with our luggage. He asked both of us if we were ready to move. We nodded. Greta walked with a stride in her step. David was insistent on helping his mother with her bags. While he was loading Greta's bag into the car, I noticed David slipping something into the bag. David looked at me and winked. I was confused but couldn't help but feel a rush of excitement. David insisted that I drive the entire way to the airport. David remained on his phone. However, that didn't stop Greta from talking about how excited she was to spend quality time with David and how they had never had a mother-son vacation. I was very uncomfortable while David just ignored everything his mother was saying. When we made it to the airport, we made it just in time for check-in. While David and my luggage checked in smoothly, Greta's bag began beeping in the machine. The TSA made her empty out her carry-on bag. In that bag was a book that looked like it had something in it. Now, just to set the picture, I need you to imagine a large line of people, both behind her and beside her, who were all impatient but also curious. Everyone looked at Greta. The TSA officer pulled out the book, and the title of the book was How to Spice Up Your Life in the Bedroom. In the book was a pair of handcuffs. I couldn't stop the snigger that escaped me. I immediately recognized the items. The handcuffs were from the Halloween costume last year, while the book was a gag gift given to David by his friends at his bachelor party. Greta looked like her face was about to explode from the embarrassment. The TSA agent looked at her with a raised brow, while the people behind and around her began snickering and whispering among themselves. Just then, an announcement came through requesting David and me to board our plane. I looked at David in shock. David told me that he had managed to find a flight that was leaving an hour earlier than our original flight, and since it was the same airline, they were more than happy to accommodate the change in time. I let out a full laugh at how everything had turned out. Greta hurriedly tried to stuff the contents of her bag back in, while David and I rushed to our boarding gate. Greta watched in horror as David and I boarded the plane. She looked angry and embarrassed. She tried to call David. David let her go to voicemail, and we enjoyed our honeymoon without a hitch. Every now and then, we'd recall Greta's face at the airport and burst into laughter. When we got back, David cut off all contact with Greta. We kept in touch with Peter, who joined us for dinner one night. We shared the story with him, and he laughed as hard as we did, agreeing that Greta got what she deserved. Greta kept trying to reach out, but we never responded. The airport incident, combined with our eventful honeymoon, brought David and me even closer. We often laugh about Greta's mishap, and it's become a fond memory we'll share with friends and family for years. Our home is now filled with laughter, love, and inside jokes, with the handcuff incident standing as a hilarious reminder of our strength as a couple. It's a testament to our ability to face challenges together, always finding humor and support in each other. Our journey continues, brimming with love and laughter, bound by an unbreakable connection that will endure through the years. Thanks for listening.